All right, a couple main ideas. Quadratic formula, completing the square. All right, eyes up here for a second. Eyes up here. Does anybody see an equal sign in number 1?
No.
Should you have an equal sign in your answer? No. This is called an expression. Okay? No equal sign. Not an equation, an expression. So when you go to fill in the blank and then write the resulting expression as a binomial squared, should I have an equal sign in my answer? No. All right. So remember, we're going to take the b term, which is -10. We're going to divide it by 2, and then we're going to square it. -5 squared. -5 squared. It's going to be positive. What is it? 25. But what goes in the binomial? X minus 5. Remember, the number that came from here goes down here. Extra arc for dramatic emphasis. You all understand the answer? Downstairs. It's a good sign. All right, next one. You got this one. Try it on your own. Chill, didn't write down the first one.
We don't have it.
Oh, you don't have this one? No. I take it back, Chill.
We have number 2.
You have this one? Is this your first one?
Yeah. No, it's their second one, actually. First one was plus 8x.
Oh, it was different.
It's plus 8x.
Oh, that's my apologies there.
Yeah.
What should the first one be then? What goes in the blank?
16.
Good. And then what goes on the line?
X minus 4 squared.
X plus
Plus 4.
Plus 4.
Squared. You know why?
It's positive.
Okay. Way to stay positive.
What?
I say way to stay positive. It's the optimist in you. What's the b value in this one? -12. -12 divided by 2 squared. What goes on the blank? Here, this one. 36. In parentheses, it's x minus 6 quantity squared. How could I check that if I really wanted to? How could I check that? Couldn't I multiply x minus 6 times x minus 6 and FOIL it out and get that? Agreed? Agreed. Wonderful. Wonderful. Is this your next one?
No.
What's the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is.
It is.
It's kind of tucked in there up under that blank, isn't it? Who's lunchbox? Yeah.
You might have a smash sandwich from McDonald's.
What? I know.
Yeah, dude, you're bullying his lunch.
First thing you should do when you see completing the square and you see an equation, create space. You agree, whatever we add on the left side, we're going to have to add on the right side because it's an equation. Things have to stay balanced. We have -6. We divide by 2. We square it. What goes on these blanks? 9. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Always positive. Always positive. like Evan. Always positive. Right, Evan? You have a good outlook on life. Stay optimistic. Now, we come down here and we say, that's x, what? Plus 3?
Negative.
Minus 3?
Yes, mine.
I forget. I'm on the quiz tomorrow. I forget. What number goes there? The number in parentheses before you squared it. Minus 3. What's on the right side? 16 plus 9 is 25. 25. Are you good so far? Good so far. All right, what do we do next? Square root. And the main thing to remember when you square root is to allow for the positive and negative. Break it up into two parts. X minus 3 equals 5. X minus 3 equals negative 5. Add 3. Did you get x equals 8? And x equals negative 2. Two answers. That's called completing the square. Completing the square. Any ideas why it's called completing the square? Logan. That's the end. It's actually up here. The reason for why this is called completing the square. Zachary.
Because the x is squared.
But it was squared before we even started the process. Logan.
Finding out what goes in for x.
Close. Ready? I'll give you a hint. When 9 goes there, it makes this
A rectangle.
there.
Finding the cylinder.
Finding the circle.
I just circled it. Like don't read into it too much.
Finding the oval.
A rectangle.
Finding the oval.
Do the other side.
Finding the squish.
What's that called? A
Square.
binomial?
Square. A binomial squared.
Lunch? Yeah. To the left. Enjoy.
That'd be fast.
If it's a little smashed, it's her fault. Do you know him?
Yeah.
This is called a perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomial. Why do you think? Because guess what? We put a number here. We got to put a number here that made it perfectly factorable into this. It's called a perfect square. So we're completing the square. It's called completing the square. Beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, try this one. Is this your next one?
Is that gonna be a question?
Why is it called that?
Yeah.
No. That was bonus content for those who subscribe. You subscribing?
No. Okay. No.
Tomorrow's quiz is only going to be, I think, 6 questions. It's going to be short, since they're shortened periods. Insert short joke from Mr. Parker. Bailey gets offended, doesn't say anything about it. Moving on. Alexis gets offended, moving on. Is that how it goes?
Something like that.
Yeah, it goes on there.
Did you get 2 and negative 10? Anybody need help with that? Excellent. All right, I'm actually gonna let you guys pause for a second. I think we're okay with that. I'm gonna let you have some independent work time in a little bit to do that. But I want to review a quadratic formula with you, and then I'll give you some time to work on the review. Quadratic formula. Mr. Westfall, do you really have to memorize that? Yes. Memorize it. Who is brave enough?
I don't.
Who's brave enough to recite the formula de quadratique?
Isn't it negative b? And then in the parentheses it's b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a.
Nailed it.
It's on our paper.
Yeah. But you weren't allowed to look.
I didn't look.
She didn't. It's okay. Like that was the goal. Recite it.
She was like,
She didn't look, did she? She was unflappable. Unable to be flapped. All right. Now, you also have to remember, do you know what unflappable is?
No.
That's a good one. You need to work that into your daily vocabulary. Like if someone's like very focused and unable to be like shaken up, they're unflappable.
That's great to know.
It's a great vocabulary word.
and then,
I'm gonna try to use that at least 5 times.
Should we look it up just to be sure?
yeah,
Yes.
I knew that one.
I can record myself using it in a second.
Google.
Define unflappable.
Here's the definition of unflappable.
That's
Informal,
not even true.
having or showing calmness in a crisis.
That was unflappable right there. All right, we have A, we have B, we have C, and then we have plugging them in correctly. All right. What's A in this problem? What's B?
11.
Yeah, take the sign with it. It's positive 11. What's C?
24.
Good. So let's set it up and then it's calculator work. Remember, negative B could also be read as the opposite of B. So if B is negative, opposite of B is going to be positive. If B is positive, the opposite of B is going to be negative. So it goes negative 11 plus or minus square root of 11 squared minus 4 times 1 times 24 all over 2 times 1. Now, this is where I would recommend learning how to type in the inside of the square root all at once. All at once. So we're going to type in 11 squared minus 4 parentheses 1 parentheses 24. Everybody understand? We get 25. I would double check it. I don't trust people or things. I trust issues. So, what's 11 squared? 121. 4 times 1 times 24 is 96. 121 minus 96. I would double check in my calculator, but I don't trust it. So I'm also doing it in my head. And it's 25. So what goes under the square root? Under the square root. 25. X equals negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 25 over 2. There's a question out here somewhere. Makana, was that you?
Yeah. I typed it in right in the parentheses, so I got 25.
Still got 25. I would be careful. Because what if one of them's negative? Would you do me a favor? Do 11 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times 2. Do it your way. I'll do it. Huh?
145.
I think it's going to be right. Did you put parentheses? Yep. So your calculator is going to do it right. That's good to know. I just don't trust it. Thank you. Do you need a pass or are you good?
I'm good.
All right, we've got x equals negative 11 plus or minus 5 over 2. We have negative 11 plus 5 over 2. We have negative 11 minus 5 over 2. What's negative 11 plus 5? Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 11 minus 5 is divided by 2, negative 8. Can both of them be negative?
Yeah.
Yeah, the parabola, it's just over, it crosses the x-axis in the negatives, both times. Do you remember the quadratic formula?
Yep.
You okay with it? If you don't have it memorized, just write it out. Like, honestly, write it out like 10 times. Okay, you'll have it memorized. Just write it out. Or sing the song. Yeah. All right, you guys have some independent work time. We will go over these here in just a little bit. I want to see how you're doing on your own. Nine. I think hundreds, yeah. Did you get those two answers for that completing the square problem? I was on the, I think on the front side. Yep. Was this the next one?
Yeah.
What did you have to be careful on this one? What did you have to be careful of, Zach?
The 3x.
Quadratic formula? Yeah, for sure. A is what for this one?
3.
B is,
Negative 11.
C is,
20.
huh?
Negative 20.
Negative 20. What did you notice on this one? You had to do what? You had to bring it over. Red river, let 20 come over.
Isn't it always going to be negative and negative?
Well, it's going to be, like, let's make a rule, Mary. If I have to move this number over, how do I know what operation to use? Multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction? Isn't it always going to be the opposite? Like, if I have a number over here and I want to get rid of it, if it's 20, I need to subtract 20 from both sides, right? Do you agree with that? So if it's,
Because you're subtracting.
yeah, I had to subtract it over. I had to subtract 20 from both sides to get it to be 0 over here. Quadratic formula only works if it's set equal to 0. Because I'll understand that. Do you see how that's a pretty big mistake that's going to happen tomorrow on the quiz? Do I need to move the 20 over if it's completed in the square? No. Quadratic formula? Yes. So this is the equation I want to use for my A, for my B, and C is negative 20. X equals, again, here's a great word of advice if you struggle with memorizing the quadratic formula. Every time you do a problem, write out the formula first. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. That's going to help you memorize it. What's the opposite of B? Positive 11 plus or minus the square root of negative 11 squared. Careful, make sure you put parentheses around the negative 11. Minus 4 times 3 times negative 20. All over 2 times 3. Is everybody okay with how I got that?
Where's the minus to the 11 for the first part of B?
It's the opposite of B. So you could have had this.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
I just read it as the opposite of B. That way, at the first step, whatever B is, I make it the opposite sign. Okay. X equals 11 plus or minus the square root of 240, 121 plus 240, 261? 361? 361? Over 6. And so I kind of double check the inside. You got to be extra careful here. Negative 11 parentheses squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 20. Are you guys using the negative symbol down there? Are you using the negative symbol when you're typing in negative? Not subtraction, but negatives, yes. Double check, 361, good. What's the square root of 361? 19, beautiful. X equals 11 plus or minus 19 over 6. X equals 11 plus 19 over 6. X equals 11 minus 19 over 6. Did you get 5? Negative 1 1/3? Negative 8, 6, negative 1.3 repeating?
Yep.
How are we doing on this? That was probably tricky if you didn't see the subtract the 20 over. Can I give you a word of warning? Did any of these, I forget the directions, did any of them say to solve it both ways?
The last one.
Does it?
Just give the radical and decimal.
Okay. On the quiz tomorrow, be prepared to do a problem both ways. Okay? Now, we're not going to do completing the square if it's a number other than 1 here. But like this problem, what if I set it up as x squared plus 11x equals negative 24? Do you agree you could complete the square on that as well? Now, to get messy, you do 11 over 2, and then square it, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. So I'll be able to do these both ways if they have a 1 for A. All right? Was this your next problem? Is this the only one we have left to do? Did I skip any? I forget.
No.
All right. Is this all set, ready to go? Yes. A is,
Two.
B is, C is
-7.
good. Negative b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Opposite of b, plus or minus square root. We have 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times -7 all over 2 times 1. -1 plus or minus the square root. We have 1 plus 28. No, 1 plus 56. Is it 57?
Yeah.
Square root of 57? All over 2. Now, the square root of 57 is messy, right? Square root 57, 7.55.
Isn't A 2?
Was A2 here?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, my bad. 2 times 2. Thank you.
Same time. Good job.
I appreciate you guys. You're watching out for me. Or you're trying to hope to like make me feel bad for being wrong. One of the two. Either one. It helps out the class. All right, good? Square root of 57 was 7.55. So I guess what the directions mean here is both the radical and decimal answer. Like, I guess this would be the radical answer. The decimal answer, we'd keep going. It was 7.5 what? 5. So we'll do the plus one over here. 7 plus -1 plus 7.55 over 2 over 4. Sorry, over 4. And x equals -1 minus 7.55 over 4. All right, we have -1 plus 7.55, and then I do divided by 4. You guys all right? What's going on? 1.64.
Yep.
And then -1 minus 7.55 over 4. -2.14. Make sense? All right, laptops out real quick. Have you guys heard of Edge Elastic?
Yeah.
It's new to me, so bear with me. If you go to edgeelastic.com, if you don't have an account, go ahead and sign in with create an account through your Google. Sign in through Google, whatever it's called. I'm going to need you guys to join my class, and we're going to do some OST review, the Ohio State Testing Review, through Edge Elastic. It'll kind of help us get feedback. You see it? Class code is up there in green. I don't know why they used the letter I. It's V2J 1 I, yeah, R1 8. Is anybody in yet? Okay. Let me refresh. All right. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to get after tomorrow's quiz. So between today and tomorrow, I'll assign a practice test for you guys. It's the 2018 released items from the algebra test. That'll be tomorrow night's homework. So please make sure you have an account today, because before I assign it, I want to make sure, like, I don't know what's going to happen if I assign it and then you join after I assign it. I don't want to assign it 20 different times. So how many of you are still having trouble getting in under my class? Nobody? You are? Huh? Say it again. What? Dorian. Code? Edgeelastic.com. Do it now. All right, study for the quiz tonight. Quiz tomorrow. Know the quadratic formula. Know how to complete the square. Have a wonderful Monday.